Hi folks, welcome to PSAI. If you're wondering what PSAI stands for, it's a part of the Global Speakers Federation, an organization with 14 countries which have national speaking associations, countries like US, Singapore, Canada. Now the vision of PSAI is to be the number one association of professional speakers. Its mission is to empower professional speakers of India to influence, thrive, and achieve excellence in the business of speaking. We have our foundations on the values of respect, integrity, trust, and excellence. Now, one of the key activities is the talk show which you are witnessing today. What are we going to do in the next 40 minutes? We are going to capture the essence of a speaker. We are going to thin slice the speaker and get the magic out of this person, the magic mantra. Now, this meeting has been happening incessantly for the last 24 weeks. So next week, you're going to have the 25th talk show. Now, today, we will be deconstructing and elucidating the life of Mr. Chander Sharma and what makes this person the awesome person that he is. Currently, he runs Karmic Tree, an organization for personal development. His consultancy spans Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. And his anthem, his DNA, now listen to this carefully, guys, is helping business leaders write exponential growth stories through personal excellence and workplace excellence. So please welcome Mr. Chander Sharma with a big Bombay Mary Jaan hand.
Hi, Shiv. This is such
Hi.
a day, such a time, such a moment I've been waiting for a long time. Thank you so much for having me over. I'm so excited. I can't tell you.
You look absolutely amazing. And I think the audience, they're waiting to hear a lot from you. So let me directly cut through the ice and let me get down to asking you the questions. Are you ready?
Absolutely ready, but I think probably we'll have to take a complete sanction from the PSAI Talk Show team to allocate probably 3 or 5 more episodes because you and me will end up having at least 5 more episodes. So probably saying thank you to the entire talk show team, to the entire PSAI members, and especially the team who's behind this talk show. Amazing, incredible. 23 weeks. I've watched a lot of those. Incredible. Some very powerful speakers, and I was dying to be sitting on this seat and the hot seat. I'm already all set. Shoot.
Okay. It's going to be a saga like a Netflix series. Now,
Let's say.
yes, I was actually going through one of the posts by Anupriya, who is one of the members of PSAI. And she mentions that you're a cat, not with 9 lives, but with 7 lives. What I understand is you are a person of springiness, a person who's resilient. Now, I would like to know the magic recipe which makes you resilient so many times. What is that Robert Bruce factor in you which makes you come again and again and again and again? All yours.
You just took me back to many, many years. And resilience, by the way, is of course a topic that I speak on. And this came and has got evolved with me over a period of time. And if I take you back, I'm taking you back almost 60 years ago when my father landed in Delhi with barely about 10 rupees, 9 rupees in his pocket. And he came to the big city, Delhi, to make it big and large. He had to live with his brother, and next 4 to 5 years, he was cycling around the town to give a lot of tuitions. It was not a great beginning, by the way. He had to pay for his own education, and finally, he became a mathematics teacher in a government school. And that's what he chose to do for his rest of life.
Wow.
These are times of 70s and 80s. I'm a kid of the 70s and 80s, by the way, where there was a singular income coming into the house, and there were so many people to feed. We lived in a very small 2-room set apartment. A 2-room set apartment would mean if I had to sleep, My cot would be brought into the house, inside the house, by about
Yes.
11 in the night, and had to be put out 6 in the morning. And there was so much of buzz and activity happening, but there's a greater family, and there are so many other things happening here. Shiv, I'll quickly draw your attention to another very important thing. All the people watching the show just now, and probably you also will relate with what I'm saying. Each community that we live in and a part of, and each condos that we live, and wherever we are putting up, in our neighborhood, in our society, in our places around our house, there's always one uncle and one aunt
True.
who would do anything selflessly for the sake of community. Always. They will wake up 2 a.m. in the night, serve people, help people, festivities. They're the first people to run to celebrate things. They're the first people standing when there is some kind of problem, issue, challenges. And these uncle and aunt serve the community selflessly. Selflessly, I'm saying. Shiva is very fortunate. This uncle and aunt were right inside my house, my own parents. My two-room set house was a hub of the activity, and anybody and everybody could just walk in at any point of time. And I was listening to a lot of stories of resilience, of how people had fought up. They used to come with problems, they would go back with solutions. The entire set of people around the house, they would all sit down, help people, look at things differently, and probably selflessly take care of any issue, challenge, problem. And those are the kind of wonderful stories. So I've heard these stories, I've seen people coming in with a problem and walking out the solution. It doesn't
So
end
that
here.
that is very good. The ingredients of what you're doing today.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I'm teaching also to a lot of business houses. It doesn't end here. It also comes to the fact, I'm again cutting straight away into my entrepreneurship world. And on the highest recall comes the first one to my mind is the first one, the first disaster which ever happened with me. And this is 1993. The whole share market crashed like a house of cards.
Harshad Mehta.
Security, exactly. There's a serial there, there's a movie there, everything is happening there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was running this computers business and I was in the business of electronics and serving all my clients. Nobody told me to put not to put all the eggs in the same basket. Who were my clients? Brokers, main stock exchange brokers, sub brokers, chartered accountants, people directly or indirectly involved with the securities market. And one fine morning, I get a call, says, Chander, we are going bankrupt. Is there a way that you can sell all the hardware or can somebody buy this back? I was shocked. I said, what about my money? They're very sorry, but we can't pay you. It didn't end there. For the next 3 months, I kept getting these kind of calls. Everybody called me in the town to tell me that they are going to shut off and they would like to sell off everything and they cannot pay me. My organization crumbled. It was a disaster for us. I come from very humble backgrounds. My father, like I told you, was a government teacher serving the government school for all of his years of life. We were totally devastated, frustrated, finished. And that day, my father calls me, I still remember so fresh. He said, Chandra, sit down. We have an issue at hand. But there are also some family assets. You just liquidate, sell off, and pay every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the market. And he said, I'm not telling you to go back and search for a job. Go back and reinvent yourself. Start back again on your feet and fight the battle again. You'll have to somehow make it as an entrepreneur. That's my choice, but you have to come.
Wow, wow.
Continue to do that and continue to do that only. And what a wonderful way to back. You know, resilience, let me quickly say this, is your ability to bounce back and roll with punches. Your ability to deal with your perceived adverse situations. Your ability to transform a lot of opportunity into challenges into opportunity. Your ability to absorb a lot of learning offered by setbacks. And all of this, by the way, is not easy. It doesn't come easy. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of life. Resilience is a way of life. You need to work on various things. And I've seen my senior generations doing this. You have to work on 5 different areas. Count them, please. The first one is the physical level, physical well-being, the emotional well-being, the intellectual well-being, the spiritual well-being, And last but not the least, the social well-being. While the first four are focusing on the inside of you, which is the physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, the fourth one, the social well-being, is focusing on outside of you. And that's how you become resilient. And what came handy, by the way, all this while, what came handy? What came handy was my own value system, my own support system, my own wife and two sons. Even now, today, they support me unconditionally. My parents support me unconditionally. Communities, people supported me unconditionally. And that's resilience. That's exactly what resilience is.
Wow.
It's a very strong message that I would like to give to all the people listening now and all the people who are on the show at this point of time and somebody who will even watch it later. Just simply hold hands with your tribe, your PSA tribe. Simply hold hands. I know of some very amazing selfless people. I think I've met almost 50 plus people here, both physically and on digital platforms at PSI members. Some very fantastic selfless people, some people who've really made it big from nowhere. And there are enough examples. And I'm no exception by it. But the whole crux of the thing is pinpoint the real issue, assess where you are today, define your desired state of where do you want to go, and work out how to get there. Which means the message is very clear for resilience. And if you want to learn resilience and become resilient, rebuild, redesign, repurpose, reimagine, and re-engineer yourself. That's the only way forward.
Wow, wow, amazing. And the crux of what I understand is PACI is a tribe that can hold your hand and take you through tough times. They can take you through tough times. And I just got a thought as you were speaking. Possibly it's like the more rains you get, the more thunderstorm you get. After the thunderstorm, you get the rainbow. The rainbow has got seven colors, and that was the seven cats she was possibly talking about. So that is where you get your strength. And I also, one more point I wanted to make out is somewhere we get that identity in life. You got your identity from your parents. And from your identity, you build and constructed your values. And then you set your goals. Amazing, sir.
Exactly. Exactly. I just put in here one more few words. My own personal values, which when I wrote down and kind of decided, are very simple values: learn, trust, share, ownership, integrity, and all of these are non-negotiable. And why do you think I fell in love with PSAI? PSAI also stands on four values, the four pillars: the
Yes,
respect, integrity, trust, and excellence. And by the way, integrity and trust happen to be my values as well. So I think
okay,
it was like
matches,
fish to
matches.
water, fish to water. And I know of so many wonderful people, like I keep repeating, who actually practice these values. And I think that's what we need to learn from all of these wonderful people, including you. I hold you in the highest of regards, and I hold so many others in all the respect.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, possibly there are a lot of businessmen over here who are looking for, hey, what can I get from here? Now, one of the things I understand is you have been into customer excellence, you have been into sales management, so you know how to woo people. Now, woo stands for winning over others. How do you get what is that communication or that ingredient in you by which you woo people? How do you do it?
Great question. Again, I'll quickly divide it into two, three of these answers. And Woo again has been a way of life with me, by the way, winning others over. Shiv, I was a curious kid always, a square peg in a round hole,
Oh,
always. A right brain guy who can only dream, has aspirations, only understand colors. Art, culture, heritage excites me. I never knew how a sine theta, cos theta will serve me in life. I never knew.
okay.
So I was pathetic, a big failure in academics, by the way. Big failure in academics. But look at the contrast. At home, parents were ferocious readers, ferocious. And I'm talking about the magazines of those times. Some people listening now will relate. Illustrated Weekly, Reader Digest, Caravan the magazine, novels of Agatha Christie, 007 novels, Annette Blyton's, Earl Stanley Gardner. I don't know if you know the Perry Mason series. There are about 90 plus novels in the Perry Mason series. I've read about 70. When was I reading these? Class 7. Can you imagine a class 7, 6 kid reading those novels? Because I hardly had a choice. These novels were all over my house. My uncles were reading them. My father was a ferocious reader. And so much of discussions. And look at the quality of discussions happening in the house. We're talking theater, we're talking music, we're talking classical music, we're talking movies, we're talking everything under the sun. And look at the influences from radio, TV. Television was too early, too early. And look at the newspaper. You know, my father used to open the newspaper and go straight into the center page. And what is there? The editorials. Who's writing? Kushwant Singh, Amitabh Malik, Karan Thapar, Mark Tully. In the Bollywood, Devani Chaubal. I don't know how many people know her. Come to the TV television world. Pranoy Roy, Vinod Dua, Shekhar Gupta, Veer Sangvi. I mean, these are people who have naturally made some impact on me some ways because I was always listening to them as a kid. I've grown up watching these guys. And if you remember the good old days of the Doordarshan, there was these beautiful serials like Laurel Hardy, Here's Lucy, Three Stooges, the BBC one, Are You Being Served? I don't know if you've seen that. I recommend
Yes, yes.
please see that. Are You Being Served? And then my all-time
Lucy
favorite,
Ball. Uh,
yeah, my all-time favorite, Whose Line Is It Anyways?
whose line
You
is it
know,
anyway? Hmm.
you have to spend a number of years doing all of these things to finally come into the world of storytelling. Today, I very naturally tell stories. I think mentioned a couple of times earlier also. I'm not the method actor. I've not had formal trainings. I'm the natural one, which means whenever I see structure, when I see a structure like Toastmasters, I really get excited. I really get excited. PSAI has a wonderful structure, wonderful structure. You can start counting names, by the way. I'll quickly take some names. Start counting names at PSAI. What did I get and who did I meet at PSAI? I have met Frederick Harron, James Taylor, Martin Nick, who's the vice president today, Tim Wade, Sonia Piontek, Tom Abbott, Lindsay Adams, Omran Matar, Mustafa Humvee, Dan Thurman just now gave a masterclass to us. I'm being coached just now by Sheena Walker. Uh, I went to the UK, Ireland. All I had to do was write to Martin saying, I won't going there to Ireland. Can I meet someone? Introduced me to wonderful speakers. You know, they actually opened doors to me, hosted me. Why? Because I come from the PSAI, I come from the tribe. They trusted me for that. David Lim, Alan Stevens. I can name so many. John Molidor just now has been inspiring us, and actually, John Molidor has really been with us at the PSA event in Hyderabad, if you remember. You know, all of these people I would have definitely not met in my life if I was not a PSI member. And that's my message to each one of you. You want to make best use of your PSAI membership? Go out, and before you win others, go out and serve. You know, I feel wonderful, Shiv, in whatever situations we are today in health today in India. More than 14 people globally messaging me from the speakers tribe saying, Hey Chander, I hope you are doing good and your family is fine. What have I earned here? I've earned the respect from these people because I've hung around with them. There's one guy in South Africa I'm working on an online course with. And I'll quickly take you to the last one. Have you ever been to the GSF website, the Global Speaking Federation website?
Quite some
I,
time back. Quite some
I
time
highly
back.
recommend. I highly recommend do it now.
I have a vague memory of it. Yes.
The GSF website has a tab called Community. You press the button, the drop down shows you something called a Find a Speaker. You press the button again, Find a Speaker, and imagine where it takes you. It takes you to espeakers.in. And that's the critical importance of having a profile on eSpeakers. A lot of members listening today, or friends listening today, colleagues listening today will know each time I send my entire profile and the mail body carries one line which says, my e-speaker profile is so and so. 3 people from eSpeakers community reached out to me just a couple of months back saying, Chandar, we'd like to talk to you, speak to you because you're part of the e-speakers and we've seen your thing there. and you speak on resilience, and can we exchange some notes, and can we curate some kind of content and all of that. That's the power of PSAI, and that's the power of how e-speakers can be. Very recently, we were all joined in at the summit at the Spain, which is the professional speakers Spain, and a phenomenal guy called Michael Arnott there. And Michael Arnott gave us a complete entrance to this place called the Speaker Green Room. Just walk in there and be in that Facebook community at the Speaker Green Room, and you'll realize the potential. It's all out there. Wooing people, talking to people, reaching out to people is all out there. What are you doing here, by the way? You're doing polishing your influencing skills, your persuasion skills, your convincing skills, and every possible thing to help serve people, to help serve communities. And that's, I think, should be a way of life for all of us at PSAI, the Professional Speakers Association and India. And that's exactly what it is. Lastly, I'll close with, I could not have learned if it was not for PSAI. PSAI has taught me three things, which I ask every time I deliver a speech. And the three questions, the golden questions are, and if someone can really type those questions, what problems do you solve for people? Question number one. How do you make people feel when you give a speech? And what action do they take when they hear you speak? I was a natural speaker all my life, Shiv. But PSAI taught me this framework. And thank you, PSI, for giving me this a wonderful framework. Each time I curate my talk, I put this in front of me and learn from there. So much about woo and wooing the world, wooing the people.
Wow. I really pick up that point. The first point you said is, uh, could you come back on that? Uh,
Yeah. So the three framework which has been given to me by
yeah.
PSI is what I've learned over the time is
What is it that
what
you're sharing?
problems, whatever message
What
that you're giving,
problems?
what
What
problems do you
problems do you
solve for people,
solve for people? And the
people who are
next
listening
is,
to you?
how
How
do
do you
people
make them
take it?
feel?
How do
How
you
do you make
make
them
them
feel?
feel? And what
And
do they
what
take away
actions
from
do they
there?
take when they
What
hear you?
action do they take from there? And as you're talking, I think because I'm also a 70s, 80s kid, and I was just walking down the lane thinking of Enid Blyton, and then you took me. I was also thinking of Amar Chitra Katha, Tintin, Asterix, Chandamama, Nandan, Parag, and then you have these Hardy Boys, Secret Seven. Oh my God. I think that was a kind of fantasy period, and possibly that was a time when the right brains really evolved. And so I was thinking, yes, that is the essence of the Woo factor. And I was thinking of Kushwant Singh, Illustrated Weekly, all those cartoons and articles and all that. Thank you for taking me through that particular period. It was lovely. It was, now I get. And I also understand, thanks to the e profile that you talked about, I have to work on that area. I have to really look into that website. And possibly this is a way to connect. Yes, please.
I will give you a very basic thing to do if you want to create a e-speakers profile. Very simple thing. I was taught by my own member at PSI, someone who's heading membership this time. The first name I'd like to take is John. John has come out with this beautiful video. You can either ask him or ask me. He came up with this wonderful video. All you need to do is just plug on this video on your screen, have your very basics ready, and start uploading and you can keep tweaking, you can keep updating your profile. But
Okay.
John's video is such wonderful that I can't tell you. And so is the tech support, by the way. Narendran is
Wow.
doing a phenomenal job through Zoho to kind of support
Wow.
PSI and technically and everything. But I think the backend and the technology and all of that piece would have been wonderful. Again, a great example. My studio was set up last year, just in the month of about I think May, purely because my friends at PSI told me what screen to buy, what microphone to buy, what camera to buy, what softwares to kind of look at. Where do you get this phenomenal world of learning, Shiv? Where do you get this learning? Where do you get to meet all of these wonderful people? It's impossible. And you get speaking opportunities as well, which is, by the way, a byproduct. Let's not focus there. Let's focus at what we learn here. And such a wonderful structure.
Wow. Thank you for the insight. I just wanted to get into another part, yet another dimension, because when I saw your profile, you had mentioned the word compassion. I think we live in real challenging times. You're seeing the worst of things happen around, and possibly the best of things also, because the best of people is coming out. The kind of service people are giving, the way they're waking up and supporting each other, phenomenal. In fact, I remember 2012, there was a talk of that Mayan calendar at the end of the world. I think the 12 has been transposed and now it is 21. And it's not the end of the world, it is possibly we are waking up to a higher shift in consciousness. And could you throw light on what compassion means to you on this?
Uh, Honestly, ask me, I'm a very worried person, a very deeply concerned person today when it comes to what is happening all around us. We are not in the best of times. And a couple of days, there was a talk which I hosted, which I gave, also spoke of a lot of things on conservation. I'm really deeply concerned how conservation is happening here. To give you some quick data, there are about 3 trillion trees which have been cut down. 3 trillion, I don't know how many zeros fall in a trillion by them. The cruel fishing industry is killing about 2.7 trillion fishes every year. And the joke is, we are actually funding it. We are funding it by $35 billion every year as subsidies to do this. There are about 136 million acres of rainforest which has been wiped out for cattle grazing and for growing feed crops. Imagine we are on a planet, 7 billion people, and about we end up killing about 70 billion, which is almost 10 times of our own population, just to eat. Just to eat. There are people like Kip Anderson, Richard Berry, Al Tabrizi, David Attenborough, so many names I can take. They are doing some phenomenal work in this field and raising your levels of consciousness. They're directly, indirectly giving messages. And all of the data I spoke, by the way, all the data I spoke, even if it is true by 50%, let's buy only 50% of all the data that I spoke. Even then, it's very scary. Today, every data that you're hearing all across news channels is very scary. And not one, every single industry around the globe has been impacted. It has left you worried and me worried and everybody. By the hour, we get messages of losing our dear ones purely because some people are not functioning the right way. It's bad. We've got reached a situation where the Arctic summer is really lost. We've haunted towns like Chernobyl standing and haunting us at us almost. Today, glaciers are washing away whole towns. There's global warming happening. There's water level depletion happening. Deforestation happening all the time. Species extinction happening. We have ocean dead zones. The fossil fuel is being consumed every hour. What cultures are we setting in? What days have we come to? It always takes me back to those good old days of completely free spirited souls that you and me were in the 70s and the 80s while we were growing up. There's so much of camaraderie, there's so much of togetherness. I'm reminded of this little quote from Sergei, the man who came to Delhi as a speaker from Russia. He's the astronaut. He said, when I look up the Mother Earth from a distance, there are no boundaries. The barriers are only in our minds.
Yeah.
They're just in our minds. And that's exactly what he said when he spoke at the convention in Delhi. I was so deeply touched. I even interviewed him and I also spoke to him, spent some time with him. All these speakers that I took names of today, including a lot of wonderful speakers in India, I think we all have a fantastic message. But before we deliver the message, the answer to all of this probably lies in compassion, is what I feel. And I'll ask you a question. Who is the happiest person, a living happiest person in this world today?
I've seen that person in TED Talks. He's a Buddhist monk, and I think they have taken some CT scan of his prefrontal cortex, if I'm right, and the activation of certain parts of the brain is much higher than that of others.
I'll give you the name, Matthew Ricard.
Yes.
Matthew Ricard's fMRI was done, which is the functional magnetic resonance imaging was done. And according to certain number of parameters, he's scientifically proven the happiest man on the earth. And Shiv, does he practice? What does he do? He
Compassion.
practices compassion. And that's exactly what I take back to corporate. That's exactly a message that I give to a lot of people today. I think from resilience to wooing people, to wooing your customers, you wooing the rest of the world, wooing everything around you. More than that, influencing everything around you. More than that, we all need to learn to practice compassion. Today's business leaders need to have three lessons, very important three lessons. All business leaders, and that's exactly what I'm also giving. And beautifully said by someone. It says, the leaders need to learn, I feel for you. I understand you. I want to help you. Such simple three words. I
I
feel for
feel
you. I
what on
understand you. I
I
want to
want to
help you. I feel for you when you say you are now showing effectiveness, you're getting affected by it. I feel for you. When you say I understand you, you're also getting down to somebody's cognitive level. Say, I empathize with you, I understand. You're also motivating and inspiring someone when you say, I want to help you. Humility and ambition never have been so important. Never have been so important. Compassion has never been so important than today. There's also this wonderful charter called the Charter for Compassion. You can Google and type charterforcompassion.org. I was very fortunate. I spent some time with this lady who's the director there. Marilyn Turkovic is her name. I think she's Czech by citizenship. But she's doing some amazing work. The Charter for Compassion globally is doing some phenomenal work. Phenomenal work. There are cities which have been acquired as cities, adapted cities, and a lot of compassion. By the way, you'll be surprised, even Delhi NCR, now the schools have gotten into the education for compassion, and a good friend is rolling out that program. Our next generations need to understand what resilience can mean to them. They need to understand what kind of a message that can they spread. What kind of a responsibility can they take up? What kind of accountabilities can they take up? Dalai Lama beautifully said it. Beautifully said it. He said, if you want to make others happy, if you want others happy, practice compassion.
practice compassion.
If you want to be happy, practice compassion. That's where it is. That's where it is. And all of this, by the way, is coming from stories that we tell ourselves. Stories that we tell ourselves, stories that we spread around, stories that we narrate, stories that we really build, stories that we really resonate with, stories that we identify with. That's important, I think. As speakers, again at PSAI, I want to give each one of you a message. Practice the art, the subtle art. Practice the subtle art of, and I'm actually giving away one of my secrets. Practice the subtle art of reaching the amygdala, the emotional epic center, through stories. It's somewhere inside there.
Could you
The
repeat?
emotion,
Practice
yeah,
subtle art of
reaching the amygdala of people. People, it's a
the
part of,
amygdala of the brain. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
it's a
emotional
part
part
in
of
the brain, and that's
the
the emotional epic center.
the
People
limbic
buy
part.
from people. Yeah, people buy from the people. People understand people. When you tell me a story, I understand it. Stories have a higher relevance and higher understanding than facts have. Data starts much later. I will buy the story first, then data. Data can come. But if you put data in a story, it really becomes powerful.
You can connect.
And that's where it is. So much about conservation and so much about compassion. Conservation is very close to my heart. I'm very proud to say that I run this something called We Care, and We Care Foundation completely looks after bird conservation, which is very close to my heart. A lot of birds all over the world today. A lot of them getting extinct also, and also the other part, which is reuse, recycle, is everything that you can do.
Yeah,
Uh,
refuse,
and,
reuse, recycle.
And I think a great time to tell the entire audiences about your initiatives on conservation also. I know for sure, audience listening, everybody, Shiv is somebody who never touches a piece of plastic. He discourages use of plastic. Can you tell something about that to us?
Thank you. Thank you. Uh, about plastics, I have not been using plastics for almost 4 years. No plastic bottles, and we don't bring in any of the plastic products into the house also. Any packaged products, as far as possible, we avoid it because we know that plastic deterioration is going to take hundreds of years. So at least from our point, let's do our karma and make the world a better place. In fact, I wrote a blog last week where I said possibly the man is the virus and COVID-19 is the vaccine, which is trying to heal the planet because we see a lot of birds coming. But right now, looking at the pain of the people, somewhere you said beautiful three lines. One is you feel for them, you understand them, and you help them. And that is what is the purpose of life. Thank you so much for sharing such wonderful insights into it. It was wonderful. I think now
Thank
it's time to relax because we don't want to get into a serious conversation. I'm supposed to ask you some quick fire questions, and I thought of throwing some bounces at you. So I got a question over here. Are you
Let
ready?
me see if I can duck some of those.
Yeah. Let's see if you can duck or you can hook the ball for a six. Uh,
Let's see.
Now, what is the dish you make to impress your wife? I
I'm a pathetic cook, by the way, but
guessed.
but I'm extremely good. I'm extremely good at tossing omelets, which means
Oh,
I will have varieties of omelets to make if I get the right ingredients. But
okay.
on a lot of mornings, a lot of days, tomorrow is one fine day, Saturday morning, we've already
Wow.
decided that I'm going to toss some omelets and make some nice omelets for you. I'm
She,
extremely good
is
at
she
that, by the way.
hearing it? Is she hearing it?
She should be watching and should be hearing, and she must be
Okay.
gearing up for the omelette tomorrow morning. And
Okay.
to quickly quote you, each time I step out to go for bird watching or with trips to outside with various friends in the good times I'm talking about, and I promise you in your house also, if it is allowed, I can come and do that. But I am in charge of tossing a lot of omelets for so many people, and I tirelessly do it because I really love the whole art of making it and serving it with all the delight and pleasure.
Yeah, you can come to Trichy because near Trichy you have Tanjavur, and there you have one of Dr. Salim Ali's bird sanctuary over there. Lovely
Yes.
place. Lovely
Yes.
place.
It's
Yeah.
on my
My
bucket
sec-
list, certainly. It's on my bucket list, certainly. Someday, yes, I will.
yeah. Second question is, see, I met so many personalities in PSA, a lot of people. Now, whose shoes, if you're given a chance, would you like to borrow from or step into?
Come again at PSAI India or
Yeah,
outside
yeah,
of India?
not just PSA. In life in general, whose shoes would you like to step into, or see the world from whose place?
Tough one.
Yeah,
Uh, I'll take you back to history. 1758, the first
but
British resident to India. By the way, I'm very close. Heritage is very close to me, so I
is it
speak a lot
Battle
of
of Buxar?
things. Sorry, yeah.
I love
So I,
history. Class A
yeah.
Buxar. Okay, yes.
So 1758, David Ochterlony was appointed as the first British resident to India in the Mughal courts. And that's one of the highest coveted seats, by the way, in those times. David Ochterlony was someone who came to India as a young soldier. He's also defended Delhi from Marathas during the war. He's also invaded Nepal and has many awards to his. This. But that man inspired me a lot because whenever I read about him, of course, the joke is that he had 13 wives and all 14 elephants used to get out in the town for evening walks. So 13 elephants had 13 wives and he would be in the first elephant walking in front. But that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is, what I want to do is, his knowledge on various languages was phenomenal. He could speak chaste Urdu and also Persian. He knew the poetry so well that he would have evening sessions at his home. He was a flamboyant guy who was a great learner. So I think that learning aspect and adapting to cultures is some phenomenal thing, and there's so much written about him. I was deeply inspired by that. So I think, given a chance, I'll like to go back to history and
How do you spell his name? David
Octor Looney, OCHT Octor Looney. Yeah,
Octoluni.
yeah, David Octor Looney.
Right.
Phenomenal guy. And by the way, I went to pay homage to his grave also, which is in Meerut, by the way.
Oh,
He's buried in Meerut, which is very much in Delhi. So a lot of people go there to watch David Octoloni. Phenomenal guy, and what
wow.
amazing lifetime he spent.
And is there a book in his name?
Not a book as such, but there are various references. No reference for British history, colonial history can never start. And again, one more interest which I have is I hope you're not crossing time. Is visiting a lot of churches. If I come to Chennai or say Trichy, if I come to, the first thing I would want is wake up early morning and go to a church. And if it's Sunday, I like to attend the mass because those stained glass windows excite me. Those old benches excite me. Those old music instruments, they really excite me. So I really like to touch and feel and be a part of that mass. And that's the kind of things I've been doing forever. Crazy things, but that's what excites me. Those are the shoes I
Wonderful,
would like to get.
wonderful, wonderful. And one last question. You've seen so much in life. Is there any unfulfilled dream so far?
10,000 of them probably. 10,000
Mention
of them.
one example.
Uh, I'm very bad at singing, but I really wanted to learn. By the way,
Oh,
I have been a part and disciple of the Rampur Seswa. So, you have the gharanas in the classical music.
yes, yes,
So, one of the gharanas is Rampur Seswa Gharana, and Rampur Seswa Gharana has got some very eminent musicians. I have had the honor and privilege of sitting with these people for years together in their homes to learn, to just listen to this music. And also, I take pride in various names. If you know Bismillah Khan for Shehnai, I've been sitting with him on various occasions in the green room to hear stories. What are they going to be speaking of? They're going to be talking of stories, narrating stories of their times, of how they've evolved and become what they became. And even Ghulam Ali Khan, who's no more comes to India, is very old
yes.
now, the Ghazal exponent. Even Jagjit Singh, for that matter. So, spending time with these musicians in the green room or even their practice sessions is something I've done enough in college times, by the way.
I think
There's a society called Spic Mackay. I don't know if you know of
yes, yes, yes.
Spic
Society
Mackay is
for
something I was very
yeah.
I was very active on Spic Mackay. So that's why I say I
When
don't come from structure. Yeah, I don't come from structure. I have done all of those, and all of those really helped me to speak,
oh,
enabled me to speak. And thanks to PSAI, the entire tribe, I love you all. You all helped me to evolve as an individual. You have continued to support me forever. I'll continue to support you forever. But there's so much for compassion. Is there a
and
last thing you'd like to say?
yeah, 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 and I don't know how much of similarity you love Earl Stanley Gardner, and now you talk about Spick McKay, Bhimshen Joshi, Gangubai Angal, Hari Prasad Chaurasia. Oh my! I was a fan of Spick McKay when I was in Delhi. I would never miss a single concert. So that is wonderful. Now I want you to then fulfill your unfulfilled dream, if possible. Why don't you
You
sing a
want
song?
to?
You can
Uh,
wind up singing a song or something.
okay. Maybe I don't know if I can strum the guitar at this moment, but I can definitely. Let's probably sing it together. Can I invite the others also to start singing, and they
I
can
can,
probably.
I can, but you have to tolerate me.
Oh, okay, I will certainly. You'll have to tolerate me. Likewise, both ways. So let's sing this song from a very relevant song for today. It's from John Lennon, the 1971 Vietnam War. It says it speaks of we need to be at peace without boundaries, barriers, division of religion, nationalities, all of that. So he and his wife, by the way, wrote a beautiful song. He somewhere said, let's sing that from the middle somewhere. uh, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
Only one
I hope someday you'll
can
join us and the world
will
will
be as
be as
one.
one. Imagine there's no heaven. Imagine there's no heaven. I think so much for
Nothing
today,
to live
but I
for.
promise you sometime. Yeah, sorry.
There's no heaven, no sky to look up to.
Exactly.
There's
It's a
no hell.
beautiful
Oh,
song.
oh my
It's a
goodness.
beautiful and so relevant
It's
today.
going
So
to be
relevant
very
today.
patchy. Superb, superb. Excellent, excellent.
And it's so relevant today. I think I was listening to it even the day before yesterday, but I recommend my friends to go back and listen to this John Lennon song. Fantastic song this is.
Lovely song, yes. Imagine I'm a dreamer and I'm not the only one. Thank you so much. It was a fascinating evening. I thoroughly enjoyed being with you. And I would like to share something with you. I picked up from the Arabic world. And it goes like this: put your heart like this, put your hands to your heart like this. I think all of us can do it. And there is a saying, Ya Fatah. Ya Fatah
Yeah.
means my heart is with you. My heart is with you. So, Ya Fatah. You can do it thrice. Ya Fatah. Ya Fatah. Thank you. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much. Thank you so
I'll
much.
quickly last take the opportunity to thank anybody and everybody who's been on the show today listening to us. Two mad people talking, at least one mad guy talking. And
No, no.
friends, colleagues, your presence has meant a lot to me. Uh, Let me please know how I can support you or add value to you in your journeys. Always remember you have a gift. Each one of you have a gift. Use the gift. Use the gift very wisely, please. You all have a gift. And this gift, by the way, is to bring about change, impact, influence, bring about that change. You know, to bring about the change, it takes someone. Someone. The responsibility is ours. The choice is also ours. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shiv. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. And that was wonderful. And let me tell you one thing. Uh, you would have heard of Helen of Troy. Helen of Troy was that one face that launched 1,000 ships. And here is one face that is the face of PSAI. And she is the one behind the scenes working tirelessly to make all this happen. The co host. Could I welcome Bharti Naik? Are you there, Bharti?
Yes, thank you so
Yes,
much.
welcome.
Thank you,
Thank
Shiva.
you. Welcome, Bharti.
I am blown by the wonderful chemistry you both have. Seriously, what an amazing conversation you both were having, and such a valuable takeaways that I got from when Chander was sharing about his stories. He's an amazing storyteller, by the way. So when he was sharing about every aspect of his professional speaking, every aspect of how as a consultant, how as a business person he has helped his clients, his people, stories about PSAI members, I want to tell everybody that every member at PSAI is a treasure in itself. And I'm coming the day I get to come to Delhi. I'm coming to Chandar's house and have amazing omelette with him, because I just came to know, just came to know he's wonderful at omelets. That's wow. And this is the time, we know that these are difficult times, and in this time of the hour where we have compassion, very beautifully explained by Chanda, and also resilience, how we can be so resilient and hold each other's hands. I think this is what PSCI community has given to all of us, that we can be together, we can really roll together and learn, grow, even in these tough times. And I'm really touched by so many such initiatives, contribution that Chander has done, and even you. I was not aware about the initiative that you had, 4 years no plastic. That's amazing, Shiva. Yes, Shiva.
Thank you. And thank you very much. Would you like to throw some points, some lights on PSAI?
Yeah. So,
Because there are people who are watching who could really know the benefit of this organization.
yes, so at PSAI, we already have the membership drive rolling on. The April month already started with the membership. And I must tell you that what every word, every story that Chander was mentioning about, that whatever learnings that we have, even I have grown in PSAI like anything, right? From a corporate trainer, transitioning myself to a coach, and now to a professional speaker. So that journey has been amazing, and it has only become much more fruitful even from business standpoint. It's because of these members who became very good friends, and they share selflessly. They share all the ideas, their whatever technology they understand, the experience they have from using gadgets. They would share that this is what you can use, this is how you can explore. Even I, when we suddenly went last year to a virtual setup, I was completely baffled how to go ahead now. But thanks to PSAI, because we had those boot camps, we had those amazing speakers coming and telling us that how we can even go ahead in this, and the amazing setup that we can have in our home itself. So that really kick-started, and I could then survive and now thrive my business. So, and that's again because of PSAI. So not only about the tangible benefits, of course, we have a lot of tangible benefits, but there are a lot of intangible things, the everlasting friendship that we all have. So membership is open for all of you. You may be from any background domain, could be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, financial expert, a psychologist, any background. If you are an expert in that background and you want a message to share to the world, you must go through PSAI, Professional Speakers Association of India. That's what the message I want to share to all of you, Shiva.
Thank you, Bharati. Thank you very much. And friends, I hope this evening added a lot of value to you. And I really learned a lot. I was touched, moved, and inspired by what Chander said. It was really an evening. He has made it count. Thank you very much for being with us. And this uh, talk show keeps happening every week. So, meet you again next week, same day at 9 o'clock. Till then, bye bye. See you all the best.